The Canadian band Teaze, why they quit and why they're back. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Canada. I remember seeing the band Teaze opening up for Triumph in northeast New Brunswick, where I grew up in Miramichi, which used to be called Newcastle, at Sinclair Rink. They put on an amazing show, and I still have a few of their albums. Their first 3-4 albums I still have in my record collection. So when my friend Lori, who's a friend of the band, told me about a reunion, I was very, very excited. The group released 5 studio albums from 1977 to 1980. They had a lot of fans and came close to going to the next level. And now they're back. 3 of the 4 original guys are in the band: vocalist and bassist Brian Danter, guitarist Mark Bradac, and drummer Mike Kozak. Guitarist Chuck Price will only be involved with the band on a limited basis because of time constraints. He's been replaced by the new member, Charlie Lambrick. And by the way, they've already sold out their first gig, which is happening this weekend. I talked to Brian, Mark, and Mike.
Let's start with the reunion. You know, I'm talking to a lot of guys. I'm talking to the guys in Journey and Yes and all these guys, and they're not unlike you. I mean, you guys got some bad bounces, but I look at all musicians as the same. If I like your music, I don't care what happened. But, you know, they're all saying something to me of going, you know, we've only got so much time left here. I'm 59. I think of that stuff and I'm going, is there still time to do something I love? What was the impetus for you guys doing this again?
Well, I think basically we've over the years we've talked about it, and we're all just went on with our lives. So basically, Brian didn't have a lot of time to do it, and so it was really down to when he was ready. And
damn lead vocalists, those guys, I tell you.
So actually, I think
guitarists never say never. I've been trying to get us back together since we broke up in 1981. I just felt like it was unfinished business, John, and that we had we were making some good music and we were just starting to come into our own, and it ended kind of early for me. And I always, ever since then, I wanted to do it and was always prepared to do it. And I'm glad that we got the chance now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was never an animosity in the breakup. I mean, it wasn't anything like that. Like we didn't, it was just life. I quit playing altogether for 25 years. I didn't even touch drums, and so this is kind of brought me back. But I was happily done with it. But always that idea that if these guys ever wanted to do it again, oh yeah, in a minute, I'd be happy to do it, right?
Brian, what about you? What about you? Like you said, obviously there's always something, because obviously you leave a band like this, no matter what it is, life gets in the way and we get busy and stuff happens. What about your perspective?
Well, there's a lot of issues. I'm sure if you've read any write-ups and stuff, it was a combination of a lot of stuff going on. The way the group was being, treated at the time, we had recording issues that we weren't happy with, and just a lot of stuff, even on image, that they were more or less trying to project on us. And we were, even though we lived in Toronto and Montreal, we always considered ourselves a Windsor band, Windsor, Detroit. And plus I had a lot of my own personal issues. I didn't like a lot of the stuff around the business, the drugs, the girls, everything. And it wasn't these guys, it was the hardest decision for me to make and walk out on them. I felt like it, but I just had enough. So John, for me, I made that decision and I went, didn't know I was gonna, but I went into full-time ministry. I just finished 33 full-time years, I retired. Was a music pastor and all that, and I love being around a church family all those years, raised 7 kids, got 3 of them in ministry, and then I just felt it was my whole perspective of not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Like for me, like I've told the guys from day one, I gotta have purpose. There's gotta be purpose, and it's not just about me, it's about, this is the byproduct of us being together.
Yeah.
There was a lull back then, because when we did break up, there was a lot of politics going on in the band, mm-hmm. and we had lost our record deal with Capitol, and it just was like, and Brian wasn't happy with the situation, and I guess it just kind of happened, you know what I mean? One day you're on top of it, and we were moving forward, then all of a sudden the floor fell from underneath us, and we weren't sure what to do, and we just kind of
Well,
You know, we didn't disband because of animosity.
we hit
or
the
the
wall,
members.
John. We hit the wall.
Yeah.
Basically.
Everybody gets that.
We were at the point where we really couldn't keep touring Canada. We kind of toured ourselves out in a way, and we couldn't get to the States, or we couldn't get to Britain, where we had a little bit of interest, because the tour support just wasn't there for a band of our level. Money was tight then, the economy wasn't very good, and the record companies just weren't giving that extra dollars out to a band like us. So they would go to the bigger acts that they were going to get returns on. So we found ourselves stuck.
And
What
we
do
did. And we did sign with Capitol worldwide, and then we found ourselves without Capitol because of some negotiations that went on. So we lost the Japanese market because we were with an independent there, and then Capitol wanted that market, which never happened. So Body Shots never came out in Japan, which was our biggest market, and so forth and so
like I
forth.
said, so we hit a wall, and that was, for Brian, that was probably the best time for him to step out, because he wasn't very happy, and we weren't really progressing. So it wasn't like we were going to stand in his way or try. I had nothing to tell him at the time. So how do you convince somebody to stay when we're not looking at anything too promising at the time?
Yeah, it was never between us. You know, it was a very difficult decision for me. I mean, I anguished over it for days, but I realized,
Days.
Days. Yeah, that was going years. He's going days. He forgot about me like 1982 January 2nd.
Yeah.
Days. Wow. Okay.
Oh, it's over. It's over before it started. What?
I agonized, but I was over it by nightfall.
No, what I mean was,
By dinner, I was good to go.
when it came down to the decision, I mean, it was a very, very tough decision.
Sounds like it.
Those nights that when it finally came to it, I knew it was time.
Yeah.
And,
Well, John, we started as friends. You started as friends, and you're not in this to be miserable. You may get that way, but no, you don't want to see your friends. He's never going to get to that with us. So he left, and the rest of us, we just couldn't see replacing him. This was the four schmucks from Windsor, and there were no more schmucks to fill in the
I think
spot.
that happens a lot with bands when you're younger. And you grow up as a band, and you leave home together, and all of a sudden you're without a member, and an important member like Brian, the lead vocals.
Yeah.
How do you replace something
We just
like
couldn't
that?
see. Yeah, we just couldn't see getting.
We kind of felt we started as a band and brothers, and that's the way it would end, and that's why nothing went on after that.
For more information on the band Teaze, and it's exciting that they're back, just look up the band name on Facebook. We'll have more from the guys coming up in the next 4 weeks, a series on a comeback band. Everyone loves a reunion. I'm John Beaudin. This is a new channel. It's important for you to subscribe to our channel. We're just starting out. We've got thousands of old and new Canadian interviews to get through. Almost everyone that was big in the 80s and 90s, we've got an interview. And right now we're painstakingly going through baking old reel-to-reels to make sure that they run, but we're getting to it. So make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Canada.